Very recently, I finally managed to drive down to Hampshire to visit the home of the legendary English novelist Jane Austen. Although she was born in 1775 in Steventon, Hampshire, she spent the latter years of her life in Chawton, Hampshire, up until her death in 1817, where she died in Winchester from an illness. The Chawton home which I'm talking about was given to the family by Edward Austen, Jane Austen's brother. The Jane Austen Chawton home is truly a remarkable experience, and whether you are a Jane Austen fan or not, you really ought to go down there and experience it for yourself. Before I go any further and show you the Jane Austen Chawton home itself, I want to say a big thank you to the Jane Austen House Team for giving me permission to film inside the home. Without further ado, I give you Jane Austen's Chawton home. Before you enter the Jane Austen house, be sure to take a look at these signposts. I found them super cool, particularly the one pointing to Jane Austen's house. This spot is a great spot for some photos. Just before I entered the property, my eyes were caught by some charming blue plaques nailed to the brick wall containing quotes from some of Jane Austen's beloved characters. I entered the Jane Austen house through the courtyard and eventually ended up in the storeroom, containing the Austen family's chief transportation system, a donkey carriage. Next, I made my way into the historic kitchen, which alongside some written exposition contained some general 17th century tableware and cooking equipment. In the main house, I had an amicable discussion with some of the wonderful volunteers. This inviting portion of the house taught me a few things about Jane Austen and her family's daily activities. I also discovered some interesting information about Jane Austen's daily schedule and her overall likes, such as eating dinner at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and then later sitting down for tea. Although Jane Austen never married, she was briefly engaged to Harris Big Wither before famously turning him down and choosing instead to devote her time to writing. Hanging above the piano is a portrait of Edward Austen, who was later adopted by the Knight family. Edward Austen was the original proprietor of the Jane Austen house. This magnificent portrait captures an adult Edward Austen, or Edward Knight as he would have been known by, during his travels through Europe. This cosy dining parlour houses some common cluster and fashionable items. Believe it or not, but this oddly shaped hexagonal table that you're looking at is the legendary table where Jane Austen chose to write some of her most cherished novels. Because Jane Austen was private about her writing, she'd pack the table up and put away her manuscripts whenever she heard someone approach. I was about to ascend the stairs when I saw this: the Morning Chronicle and the Courier advertising the publication of two of Jane Austen's novels, Sense and Sensibility and Northanger Abbey. Jane Austen's bedroom is of modest proportions, containing minimal decoration with a typical 17th century English flourish. Although you can't hear it, the floorboards in this room are extra creaky, so tread carefully. Next door is the Austen family room. This room contains some articles, portraits and other knickknacks relating to the Austen family and their extended relatives and connections. Be sure to have a good look at the Austen family tree. The dressing room will give you a flavour of the flamboyant 17th and 18th century style of clothing. What's noteworthy are the different types of materials worn during the seasons. Did you know that dressing up for London was actually a thing in Jane Austen's time? As a Londoner myself, born and raised, it makes me feel kind of privileged. When you step back outside, just take a moment to absorb the serene greenery and calm which Jane Austen and her family once worked so hard to nourish. And here's a photo of me losing my sense and sensibility over Jane Austen's house. I sincerely hope you enjoyed this brief video on the Jane Austen house. Forgive me if any mistakes were made, and apologies if my camera quality was poor at times, but hey, I'm not the richest man alive. There are some other portions of the house I enjoyed, but I was not able to capture, but I'll leave them for you to explore and experience in person. Anyway, I unreservedly recommend coming to Sleepy Chawton and experiencing this special home of the timeless legend Jane Austen. I mean, there's a reason why she's on the £10 note. Once again, I humbly extend my gratitude to the Jane Austen House team for giving me permission to film the house and to so warmly welcome us. You lot are a wonderful bunch. I also wish to extend my humble gratitude to my close friends Nick and Adam for accompanying me on this trip and making it a most memorable experience. And there we are folks, the Chawton home of Jane Austen. I hope you found this video interesting and enticing enough to encourage you to pay a visit to Jane Austen's Chawton home. Whether you're a fan or not, it's worth checking out. I'm going to head off and continue reading some Persuasion, so I'll catch you all next time. Take care, stay safe and cheerio for now.